All right, theoretically, everything is perfectly placed. Nothing is wrong, and we have started correctly. I'm joined here by these fellow GMs, Eric and Chippin' It, from their respective channels, for a GM-less game because, as I've mentioned before, I am nothing if not a creature of immense irony. So, fortunately, I've read part of Microscope because I had been wanting to play it, but fortunately, Eric specializes in teaching people how to play Microscope, so he will be teaching both me, Chip, and you, the audience, how to do this in this deluxe one shot. So, yeah, starting with Eric. Who the hell are you? Where the hell can people find you? And what the hell do you do?
Sure. Well, first off, thanks for having me, Arthur. My name is Eric. I stream a lot of like story games, like how Arthur said. I do like a lot of stuff with Microscope. And I kind of just focus on GMless and prepless games over at my own Twitch at Twitch TV/Eric Fulgaris. And I muse about corgis and random stuff on Twitter. So that's what I do.
It's an awesome life.
Yeah, it's a pretty good life. Thanks. Just trying to see if he's here. He's
Yeah.
sleeping.
Chip, Chipping It.
Hey,
Who the hell are you, and where can people follow you?
hey.
And what
My
do you
name's
do?
Chippin' It. I do a lot of, a lot of stuff. I appear in people's games quite a lot, and I do a lot of DM prep. So if there's anybody out there who wants some help with one of their games or setting it up, mechanics, rules, just ideas, shoot at me. Let me know. And you can find me at twitch.tv/chippinit and Twitter/chippinit. Um, so yeah, just infinite resource. I sold my hair for all this power.
Now, some of you might be thinking, do I really need help with GM prep? Yes, you do. I myself have been asking Chippin' It for some help with GM prep, and sometime during next week, probably Thursday afternoon, I'll probably be asking for his help as I get down the specifics to my viewer game on paper. So yeah, just hit him up, man. He's an
Cool.
accessible guy. All right. So, just in case, and I know you, audience, I know that some of y'all are just lazy as hell. Just in case you missed it while they were saying it, I'm going to be putting links to their channels in the description of this VOD on Twitch and on YouTube. So you can go ahead and click that. And don't worry, we'll be repeating it at the end, too. We're going to make sure you know who these guys are so you can go watch their shit. Alright, let's talk about this game.
Cool. This is a game I'm really excited about. It's a game called Microscope. It is a GM-less game. It is a prepless game, and it can tell a story ranging from the Silmarillion to Star Wars to Degrassi or pretty much anything you could really want, as long as it's about history with a point A and a point B. So this game is all about creating a timeline, and we're going to be nailing down all the different details at the start of like what we want in the setting and all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to be playing to see how we go from the starting part of our timeline to the ending part, knowing where we begin and where we end. And it's all about the how we get there. We'll be exploring it through various ages and through different and taking different turns, setting up different focuses of that we really want to like focus or drill down on. And I'll explain it more kind of when we come to that, I guess.
Cool. I'm
Excellent.
excited.
Now,
Yeah.
I'm working on getting the link. If you're too fast for me and you really just want to get it immediately, you can click on my Twitch page and go to Drive Through RPG through my referral link, hashtag support the stream, and pull up them their Microscope RPG. But I've almost got it. Hang in there. Stay on target.
Yeah.
I've got the direct link. Stay on target. For some reason, I can't control C this. All right, here we go. It's in the chat now. Bam. It's
Great.
also in the description section on YouTube. That's right.
Yep.
Cool.
The
Excellent.
creator of this game, Ben Robbins, is also a really cool guy. So if you ever go to a con or something like that, he's usually around the indie gaming table stuff if he's there, and he's super cool. And you should say hi because he's awesome.
All right. My understanding is, and this is how I found Microscope, because I got the Kickstarter for the Microscope expansion that lets you travel through time and erase or change things that happened before.
Mm-hmm.
My excitement for this game was piqued by that, so I want to see what happens here. You ready
Yeah,
to get started
awesome.
then, Chip, Eric?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
oh no, I don't know if I'm ready.
All right.
Oh no, oh gosh, oh jeez.
We're doomed. All right,
I'm
let's see
excited.
this. Tell us what
Okay.
we're doing.
So, the first part of the game is developing the big picture or the high concept. Think of this as sort of like the tagline to a movie or like a quick little like IMDb description of it, like just the one kind of one or two sentences that will encompass sort of what we want to do. For example, humanity takes to the stars after developing faster than light travel, something like that. Or other ones I've had was music is literal magic, and it's discovered in medieval England. Like just something sort of like maybe like an invention that comes out and how things will change, maybe before or after, or perhaps like the apocalypse happens and what happens with people, something like that. So starting with perhaps like a genre or like a period of time. Like, does anybody have any like particular interests and stuff? This is supposed to be just kind of like a dialogue, like game topic and game talk about kind of what kind of story we want to tell.
You got
So,
any ideas, Chip? I got ideas, but I don't want to. I don't want to throw it here if somebody else has something good. I got something bad.
No, you
uh,
go first because I'm still
No,
putting
no,
together
you go.
mine.
You go. If you got something you want to throw out here,
So, no, I'm just trying to think of because I got a cool idea for something, but I don't. But I want to do it like a twist, a change on it. And I'm
I
Okay.
trying to
want
figure
to
out the
do
twist
like
and
the
change.
rise and fall of a hereditary gangster empire, like The Godfather 1, 2, and 3.
that sounds awesome,
Yeah.
actually.
I can fit that in. I can
Yep.
fit that
Let's
in.
do it.
Eric, I need some type of fantasy race.
Oh, okay. Orcs, the orc
Okay.
godfathers, or
Okay.
dwarves, the dwarf fathers.
Dwarf Fathers. Nailed it. We're
Okay.
done.
Dwarf
So
fathers.
I got it. This is what
Just
it's
go
gonna be.
home. We've already done the whole
All right,
stream.
that's Microscope. We did
No,
it.
no. It's the Dwarf Fathers going in Prohibition. Dwarf Fathers
Amazing.
gang
Yep.
rise during the
Yep.
Prohibition
Yep.
area.
That's how they get
Start
all
with
their money and
Prohibition?
power to start as
So we're gonna
prohibition.
take a classic America. It just people are dwarves now.
Yep.
Oh,
Excellent.
okay. So we're actually going to do like America? Just everybody's a dwarf, or is it like a fantasy realm?
Why don't we just say it's fantasy America?
Okay, sure. I mean, it's America,
Well,
but
no,
it's
just the Prohibition time. That's what I was thinking. Like the Prohibition time period. It was most prevalent in America than other places.
I know, but I kind of was thinking more about like, is this a fantasy? Like, is this like Tolkien kind of dwarves, or is this actually like America? Just everybody's replaced with just being dwarves.
All right,
So
listen.
kind of like
This is
Shadowrun.
no. First off,
Oh,
this is
okay,
my
okay,
stream, and I just have to say, on my stream, dwarves are Canadian. They're all polite. They're very nice. They always get you where you need to go when you're lost. They're just like, oh yeah, it's up that way.
Oh god, this is gonna be like mixing two of my accents. Oh yeah, I think
Yeah.
that we can do that.
So,
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
Just to put my
I
foot
didn't
down
mean to
right here,
offend you.
it can
Didn't
be
mean to offend you
fantasy
there, AP.
prohibition Canada.
that's true. I mean, it could be any kind of border.
Yeah,
if we-
so I think that probably it takes place on a fantasy realm that currently is going through a dwarven democracy from the old clan chief ways.
Okay.
So probably for a long time, the people have all been like, yeah, dwarves drink way too much, eh? You know, there's just so many problems. Drunken dwarven men fighting in bars, drunken dwarven women fighting in bars, even the drunken dwarven dogs fighting in bars.
Not to mention the drunken Dwarven kids fighting in bars as well.
Yeah, so like the populace has voted on these prohibition laws, and all the old clan chiefs are just like, no, it's time. We're
So
gonna
it's like-
start speakeasies.
So it's
No,
like
I'm loving that.
a democratic change from the old Dwarven clans.
Yeah, yeah.
and
Like
then
the king's out, king's dead. There's no heirs. They're moving to a republic, democratic republic system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
And
then the high
all
concept.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna recite what we were talking about.
Oh no, you just need to go ahead and do that. Otherwise, me and
Yeah.
AP are just gonna be throwing bullshit at each
Oh, yeah,
other. and
exactly.
Yeah,
getting
I mean,
hype
like
over
it's
it.
yeah, you guys are getting so excited, which is really good for the game. It's just we can do that later in the game itself. So the high concept I wrote down now is the rise of dwarven gangs in Prohibition era Americas.
Excellent.
So
Well,
like
shouldn't that
sort
be
of.
Canadias, eh?
Yeah. Let's switch it to
Oh,
Canadians.
okay. Uh,
And I didn't mean to cut you guys off or come down like a hammer on that. I
Canada.
just want to say every single dwarf who's ever appeared on my stream has been Canadian.
Okay.
100% Dwarven Canadianisms.
Okay. So the next step that we're doing is we're going to come up now with our bookends of history. This is sort of like the edges of our cross section of our timeline. So obviously there's something that happened in the way past, and obviously something happens in the mid, after our game. But we're just going to look at this game from a certain starting time and an end time, and that's it. So what are we thinking about in terms of our start of history?
Oh, Death of the King, democratization,
Democratization.
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 Yeah. Man, that one just wrecked me.
So
The rise
I'll
of the
give it
people.
a I'll give it a nice little marketing time tagline of the democratization.
Yep, yep. I'm glad someone can pronounce that word. Just for everybody at home, I'm a few hours into a stream here. This is
Okay.
not me starting fresh.
So let's talk about this time in history. So what really signifies the democratization is the fall of the king, as we said.
Yeah,
Just
and
sort of like just bullet point broad strokes, kind of what we're thinking about that goes on here.
it's not just about the fall of the king, but also the rise of the power of the people, and the loss of inherent power of the clan chiefs.
Yeah.
Of the
Right?
Now,
dwarves.
Yes,
can
of
we
the
say that
dwarves.
one of our chat members, Cottontailed, actually had a good point because
What
there's
country are elves from?
Canada, but there's also a part that's French Canada. So can we say that there's like an elven mix in this world? So there's some
Oh,
elven
we will.
dwarves.
Yeah, so we will get ready. That's a great idea. We'll get to that actually in the next step after we create our bookends. We'll
Okay.
actually start nailing down what we want and do not want to see in our game in terms of themes and fictional elements.
Okay.
So, um, so the democratization. So this is a period of time where the king falls and the people start gaining power. However, not the sort of, I guess, like the middle nobles kind of don't lose power. This is more like the power to the people kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the last and most important part, actually not the most important part. Anyways, the next part is to determine whether or not this is a light or dark era of time. This is subjective, but it's supposed to be sort of like to highlight the mood and tone of this period of
Oh, it's
history.
it. This is gangsters, man. Come on.
So it's going to be light. Well, no. So this is like one of those weird facets, and we need to decide, I guess, the tone
Sure.
of what we want to go for. If we're going
Well,
to focus solely
On the
on
gangsters,
on the
it's
gangsters, it's
dark.
going to be a little bit of a dark time. But
mhm,
for the rest of the people, there's a little bit of hope and light because it's going to be
yeah.
we're in power now, we're excited, and then. But if we're going to be focusing
mhm.
solely on these dwarven gangs that are starting up, it's going to be more of a darkish, kind of noirish aspect.
Sure.
Freiburg forever. Am I right?
Yeah.
So it's possible to have light scene like okay, so the way the structure of the game will work is that what we're doing is we're creating periods of history. And these the biggest chunk of history are called eras or periods. And that's what these bookends are. They represent an age of time. And then below them, they have events. And these are just events that happen in that age. And then in events, there can be scenes that we can role play out or narrate out what happens inside those events. So that's sort of like a nested sort of kind of thing. And the things that get nested inside a period of history don't have to have the same tone as the larger period. So we could totally focus on dwarves and have noir and stuff while it's still being light. Like that's an option. Just kind of just overall, just letting you know a little bit down the line what's going to happen. So
Where do you want to go with it, Eric? Light or dark?
Uh, I think light because I think people are happy that the king's dead.
All
But
right,
that's
then
just my
let's
opinion.
Triforce this. All three of us. We're
Okay.
doing the light.
All
That's
right.
a
Actually,
terrible
let's have a
triangle.
tonal shift. Let's have it start light and then get progressively darker.
Sure. That's totally possible. Um, so Okay, so that's our first end of history. So now where does our story end? Like, what's the last part of history that we want to explore? Um,
Obviously, it's the cyberpunk future. The corporations, which are run by these corrupt gangsters, take over the government.
Well, no. So that's a tone. Well, I think that's a little bit too far
But
for us to do.
that's the end of the
no, I mean
democratization.
that's
No, man, they have like space empires in this shit.
Well, no. Like
that's
let's.
absolutely possible.
Well, I mean, there's
Like,
two ways that we could do this. We could make
mhm.
it like one of those ultimately dark tracks where it's these dwarven gangs. They have a rise of their empires and then a slow fall onto almost ruin. Or we could have them end up being like turning from these gangs into actual corporations.
Yeah, yeah, they become the corporations and then they take over the government.
So yeah, do we want to do a takeover or do we want to do like a downfall for end of time? Because it looks like we're splitting on how our history is going to
What
turn out.
I'm
So what are
we
we
might
thinking?
be just describing the same thing in two different terms. And once again, being a jackass, I'm describing like the current political situation where the corporations are kind of like using their money and power to take over votes in America, right? Not that that's
Hmm.
actually happening, but it
Oh
might
no,
actually
never.
be. And that's what's happening to these dwarves. Like the gangsters have become the corporations over time, and now these gangster corporations now control everything behind the scenes in the cyberpunk future.
Well,
Doesn't
see,
have to be
that's
cyberpunk. It just has to be like
I'm to
Shadowrun.
well,
I'm
no,
totally
like
on board with that. If what are you thinking, Chip?
Well, it's just that's a very long span of history. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was thinking of shortening the history and then we focus more on the like little important parts that gets from point A to point B and staying
I
instead
think
of
that
saying like this
Microsoft
is
or
a
Microscope's
10 chap like a 10 book series rise to power because that's what this is feeling like.
yeah,
Like
but
this is just
Microscope
one
lets you
book.
do that, right? I haven't checked
Yeah.
over the rules totally, but we do break things down and
Oh,
you
absolutely. Yeah.
can focus as a player on the part that you want to do, which is like the beginning part, and I'll focus on these dwarven gangsters and the grandsons and granddaughters of the people that you've developed, and be like, and this is where he betrays his people, he urinates on everybody's dog, and now he's the king of the world.
Yeah, like so Chip, what I would say is Microscope is a game that actually facilitates that amount of like age discrepancy in a game. Because sort of like what Arthur was saying is we end up focusing on the stuff that we want to focus on. So we don't actually have to detail the stuff that's boring to us. The game actually lets us focus on what we like.
Okay.
That's a big part of the game. So really, there could be chunks of unknown history, but that's just how it is. So if we wanted to end the game with a cyberpunk dwarven corporation controlled future, we totally could. But if we want to do something that's like more narrow in scope, we absolutely could do that too. It depends on how intimate we want to like make the game. It just seems like we want to do like a far flung to the future kind of thing, which is
Well,
totally fine.
here's the important question: is
Mhm.
I'm more for the narrow, where AP is more broad-reaching. What do you want? Because you're also a player
Yeah.
here,
Yep. So
and you're the tiebreaker.
I'm feeling broad reaching, but I'm feeling that mostly because a lot of my microscope games end up becoming narrow in scope. So
Okay.
I think a nice little stretch, a workout of longer time would
Well,
be
here,
fun.
how about this? How about this? I'll make a concession. Let's do
Hmm.
it somewhere in the future, but let's see if we can't get something that leads to a good cliffhanger, so we could always come up with book two.
Okay, I
Sure.
agree.
So, what would be the marketing tagline for this age of time where the dwarven corporations are running? You know, they're the power behind whatever government is here.
What the hell is happening behind you, Eric? I think that freaking cat is just going insane.
Yeah, no, the cat and the dog are actually getting at it right now.
Get
So,
him, cat. Get him. You're the winner. You're the
Team Cat,
best. Team cat.
yeah. So they like to play. So, sorry. If they get annoying, let me know.
No,
No,
it's fine.
So,
no. I don't think you understand how this stream works. Why don't we just ask Dog Meat? Well, hello there, chat. I'm Dog Meat. I'm here to tell you that we love animals. What would be the marketing tagline at the far end of this thing?
Um,
Dystopian future dwarven corporate breakdown. Maybe that would be the good words.
okay.
no,
Could
no,
I
I got
suggest
it.
something?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Absolutely not.
I was gonna say the Dwarven holds, like holding companies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like
Well,
that.
no.
But
To kind of keep an idea with the fall, we could have it be the fall of the clans, the rise of the
Holds.
corporations.
Yeah, I like calling the corporations holds because it's a
Holds.
play on
Okay.
the fact that dwarves often call their keeps holds.
Yeah. So the fall of the
Yeah.
clans, the rise of the holds.
And criminals are notoriously conservative, so they could just be like, yeah, yeah, it's just the hold, man. We're just going with the old ways, you know.
The hold ways. I like that.
uh, Dwarven run corporations influence the government tremendously.
And you're changing the text on this bookend B here.
Yep.
Yep. Using
And is this a
science.
lighter dark tone? Lighter dark type
Oh,
of
this
era.
is the dark
It's dark.
side.
Dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's
Cool.
dark.
Awesome. Great.
Before we go too much farther, Eric, I never actually asked, what the hell are we using to play this game? Now, of course, you could do it with Roll20, but we're using some sort of special stuff.
Yeah. So we're using a software suite called Draw.io, which is kind of like the Google Docs version of Microsoft Visio. It's flowcharting. Roll20, I found, doesn't exactly have the best like text box making type of system, and that's really the only thing you need for this game is if you're playing in person, all you need are index cards. So I'm trying to represent the best way I could to have index cards that allows you to have a wide enough, table or space to spread out these cards on, in a sort of like orderly fashion that you won't end up with an ability to quickly edit the text without creating a new box or selecting something else, as I end up doing almost like universally in Roll20. So
Yeah.
I'm
Cool.
sure us other GMs can feel you when sometimes it's a little clunky using the Roll20 actual draw features. So
Well, since we're going for a little bit of a kind of jazzy type era, I'm thinking I definitely have the payroll playlist. I just put in Skype for you guys. I don't know if you were
Oh.
playing any music on stream, AP, but some of it is pretty good, even
I
though it
wasn't-
is
I
very
was
few
not.
tracks.
Do we have?
I just put it into Skype.
Is it all like what do you call that? Them there?
It's all on SoundCloud.
Yeah, that's the one. All unlicensed stuff
good.
that I'm not
Cool.
gonna get wrecked for using.
Yeah. Awesome.
Some of it's pretty good. I imagine starting off with the jazz intro might do you guys well because it's a kind of fairly good and upbeat, kind of mellow.
Okay. So the next part of the game is the palette. And so
Chad
the
is a
palette-
little confused here, Eric, as to exactly what we're doing.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
So we're
Cottontail
playing.
had asked, do you just like create a world?
Yep. So we're playing a game called Microscope, and we are doing just exactly what Arthur said. We are creating a world, and we are going to tell the story of the historical fall of the old kings and the rise of the Dwarven Gangsters, and how their gangs will eventually somehow turn into corporations
Yeah, people
So-
are
that
asking.
that run the dystopian future.
Yeah, people are asking. There's no dice involved. You only play with index
Nope.
cards.
Exactly.
That's
There's no dice.
crazy.
And there's no prep. You can ask any of us.
crazy.
We just showed up. Exactly.
Yeah, no.
There's no
So,
prep,
like,
and there's no GM. We are
reason
all
why-
empowered to do.
Yeah. The reason why I'm digging this so far, chat, is because you can literally say, what I want is my overarching theme, and then I want a point A and a point B, and then you figure it out from point A to point B. So you can use the system to create anything. And now that I'm kind of getting the dig for it, this might be a great way to come up with campaign settings for people.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Kit,
Yeah.
Because I would highly recommend to every GM that before you play a game with your players, to actually want to build a campaign, sit down with them and actually build your world together using Microscope. And
Well-
hopefully this game today will should give you the tools and the instructions to kind of see how the game's played, and then you could purchase the book and do it with everybody, because that means every player has an invested interest in the world because they helped create it in a very significant way.
Now, just this idea of using the normal world as a map, but as chat was saying, dwarves are in Canada, humans are in the U.S., France is like the French, like Europeans are mostly French. We
Yeah.
have orcs in Russia. I'm thinking that would be an amazing idea for a fantasy world setting. And you can actually say,
Absolutely.
like, here's the map of the world, and then you can have your players go from different continents to different continents, different eras and whatnot. And then you could use these, like, microscope games if we wanted to continue on in this and say, all right, your campaign setting is while this is happening. Let's figure out how you fit
Yeah.
into it.
Oh, that's another way of doing it is just playing Microscope and then realizing that the world you just made is awesomely like just amazingly badass, and you just ask everybody. So pick the period of time that we want to go adventure in because this is awesome.
Yeah.
Totally,
After
totally,
this game, I might end up writing this down. And because that's
absolutely.
one of
Yeah.
my favorite things to do is just flesh out worlds, flesh out mechanics.
Why
like,
write it down when you can watch the video on YouTube?
Yeah.
This is something I really want to mention here because I said this a couple times on stream, but yeah, definitely. If you're looking to GM, always talk to your players about the setting first. I actually just had that happen in a one shot with on Encounter Roleplay, where they threw us into this world where we knew nothing, and it was very strange. And all of my streams, but none of them will ever come close to Spears of the Dawn. We always talk about what we're going to do ahead of time, like character class, the general setting of the world, and while I might not prep everything on Microscope in the future, I am making serious considerations into doing it depending on how this goes.
No, absolutely. I mean, nothing is better than just actually just open, honest communication with your players and being like, "Hey, do you kind of have an idea of what Thorgar the Barbarian wants to do today?" It's like, "Yeah, I want to go kill that orc who killed my dad." And you're like, "Oh yeah, all right, cool, yep." Like, just make a quick note about, okay, I want to do that. Just by asking them, before they, while you're eating chips and drinking beer or whatever, before you actually play. Just communication's awesome.
All right.
Um,
So let's
so.
move on to the next
Yeah.
part of this
So
game.
palette. This is probably my favorite part of Microscope, is because this is the part where we get to decide what is in the game and what is completely out of the game. So we all are going to take turns. I prefer to do it in a way such that we all add or take away in a yes or no fashion at least 3 things. So that means like 9 things total. That we in a sort of balanced way of what we kind of want to see in the game and what we don't want to see. This could be pretty much anything that you can think of. It could be literary elements. It could be like no wars. It could be no elves. It would be really weird to say you don't want dwarves because their game seems to be about dwarves. But like you could say that. But you could say there's no magic, right? This is the part where you can say these things and you talk it out like, oh, well, what do you mean by no magic? Like, or what do you mean like no aliens? That kind of stuff. So that being said, is there anything that absolutely has to be seen or some that we want to see in the game or don't want to see in the game?
An alchemical drug. I absolutely want to see it in the game. Some sort of like analog of like alchemical cocaine. I'm way on the Godfather, guys. This is happening.
So some type of upper.
Yeah. Something that
Right.
instead of getting drunk all the time, like everybody's getting weaned off it by the rise of this drug.
Sure. So
Everyone does it.
I'll say alchemical drug. I'll say fantasy cocaine for now.
Yeah, where are we putting this on the table?
Oh, so I'm updating in
Oh,
the
yeah,
yes
I
or
can
no
see that
columns.
now. Yep.
Yes. So it's weird that you can't. That you can't see it until someone's finished editing it, but that's one of the problems. So yeah. So right now, that was a great addition there, Arthur. Yes, we want to see an alchemical drug. So just to make it a little more clear, just because we put something in the yes column doesn't mean that we're limited to talking about things only in the yes column. However, that's not true for the no column. If we put something in the no column, it's forbidden from becoming into play. So something that I don't want to see, I don't want to see no outright war. So no like armed national conflicts, like gang war, totally cool, but no actual like army versus
Of
army.
course. Yeah, I got it.
Okay. So we're just keeping on going in this kind
Yeah.
of round
Of course.
robin fashion
You got to
until we
kill
have
your
3
enemies at the
yeses and
toll
3
booth,
nos.
you know?
Yeah, or win them economically.
Yeah.
Okay. So because it was said in chat, and I think it would be kind of cool, I do want to see a romance subplot.
Yeah, I'll agree with that as well.
Sure. Yeah, romance. Absolutely. Um,
Dwarf Romeo and Jewel Diggerette. I don't know.
is a Capulet a type of jewel?
Ooh,
I
that's
don't
a good.
know.
I don't think it
I don't
is.
think I don't I don't think Montesquieu is a jewel.
You
It
don't you
might
don't
be,
have to get too big on it now. We can start just getting the gears
but
going in our heads about it.
yeah,
Obviously, the
exactly.
houses need to be named after
Um,
types of alcohol.
so this is actually a good part of the game is that so we're coming up with ideas and we're talking about this yes and no and stuff like that right now, right? And we're just brainstorming. Um, if by the end of this and you have an idea in your head of like what you want to see in the game, don't tell us. When it's your turn, incorporate it. Because the best part of this game is when you actually let someone else do something that they want to do in a way that you didn't foresee or like kind of get influenced in
Well,
sometimes.
that's certainly not the
So
D&D I was raised on 40 years ago.
yeah,
Letting
yeah,
players do what they want. This is madness.
yeah. Well, think of it this way: like, so there's three of us playing, right? You and your own ideas are a minority stake in the game. Like you yourself is so if we're all equal here, you don't have a overwhelming, like you don't have a majority stakeholdership. So it's best to just kind of let your ideas get riffed on because they will get riffed on and taken in ways that you did not expect, like an improv session. And you just kind of have to go with it. And the best experiences are that when you let it go because no one's imagination is as cool as everyone's imagination working together.
All right. So Arthur, what do you
Oh,
have for us?
I'm trying to figure out the word for it. It's not industrialization, but kind of the rise of corporations, right? Whatever that is, I want to see that happen here. Um, Kind of what happened between 1900s and 1950s, where it went from small farms or small industries to like super
Mass production?
huge, like nation
No, that is
spanning
industrial. That is,
empires. Sure, sure. Industrial. I mean, as long as we all understand what I'm saying out of
yeah.
it, industrialization is a good buzzword to throw in there.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. No, but that you did exactly what you were supposed to do. You said industrialization, but you weren't sure, but then you defined it, right? And on
Yeah.
what you actually meant.
So rather than every clan owning its own forge, there's probably just going to be like two or three companies that now own all the forges.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's something
Okay.
I want to see.
So alchemical drugs, romance, industrialization. Something I want to see would be
That dog wants to get involved, man. What's up,
yeah.
dog?
Um yeah, he's getting excited. Sorry. If it's an issue, once again, let me know.
Do we need to make this
Uh,
bigger? It's not like going down for me. Like I can't see the industrialization part.
oh no, it looks like it didn't get added. Industrials. There we go. Thank you. Um, Something I don't want to see. I don't want to see elves. No elves.
So negative. You keep discluding all of the
I
people.
know. I
Chat
know.
wanted elves. Now you've just disappointed them.
Oh.
Well, actually, is there a thing in this where I can take what you said, but I can change it to my own to hit a more broad-reaching scope?
What do you
Well, no,
mean?
it's a little bit different. I
Oh,
don't want to
like,
see any foreign conflicts. So, like, I don't want there to be, like, stuff coming in.
external, like someone invades.
Yeah, well, I don't
Sure.
want to see that. I don't want to see any politics referring to any other countries. I want this to be purely.
So it's just like one nation. Just literally the whole
Oh,
world is
so
just Dwarfia, the kingdom of
well,
Dwarfia.
not the whole world. It's just that our story that we're
Sure.
telling is only about the world,
Maybe
about
they're
through
super
the
isolationist. Yeah,
yeah.
they're just like America. Holy shit. And I'm folks at home. I'm talking about America during Prohibition era. Everything before World War II, we were super isolationist.
Yep.
We didn't give a
So
shit about anybody.
yeah, so we're all about whatever our did we say Prohibition Canada? So our
Prohibition
Canadian dwarfs.
Canada. Eh? Super polite, eh?
Should I
Now
just say
listen.
should I go back to say the high concept should be Prohibition era in North America?
Yeah, yeah. Let's go with that.
Yeah, because
Maybe all the gangsters are Americans and everybody else is because
So when the
it's
dwarves
hard to
finally.
see like a
that's a
really
possibility.
polite dwarf that's on like the corners, just like, hey, you want to try some of this? Just pushing it on you. Hey, first it's free. Oh, No,
No?
don't you know?
Okay, well, have a nice night. Okay.
Or like those gang shootouts that are like extremely polite. Like you shoot somebody, I'm dying. Well, I'm sorry, but you gotta die,
Um,
Wow, we're super
yeah. What'd you do
racist
that
against
for?
Canadians right
And
now.
then it's
Well,
like,
no, I
yeah.
love them though. I love them though.
This is
I was
awesome.
gonna say that the dwarves, when they first came up from underground, they came up to this lush world where there's all these maple trees that they realized that they can make beer out of, and
Maple
that's where the
beer.
alcoholization came from. Maple
Oh,
whiskey, maple beer.
So,
I think we're on chip, right? Oh
No,
no, we did external conflicts. It's me. Oh shit. Now I feel like a dumbass. All right. I keep saying yes to things. I want to figure out something to say no to. Hmm. Oh boy, this is hard.
no, it absolutely is. But I
Yeah.
encourage you to come up with some kind of constraints because while it's totally cool to have like a light palette, it really helps to drill down for inspiration because when it's your
Oh,
turn, when you're actually going to be creating parts of history, being able to refer to the palette when you don't know what you want to do is super helpful.
I got it. Okay, how about this? Um, no mechanized weaponry like crossbows. Like maybe for religious reasons, there's like a god that's just like because and this is true.
So then no
For,
guns? Like none?
yeah, no guns in this era. It's all just like melee combat. It's like that TV show Into the Badlands coming out in ANC in December.
Okay.
No guns.
So,
But here, I'm thinking that it's all like maybe there's a god that's just like do not put the dwarven ingenuity into war. Don't do it. Swords
okay.
and plowshares, there, buddy.
Oh, absolutely. I'm gonna build right on that. I'm totally gonna say yes. Religion religion as source of conflict. Um, can I? I don't. I mean, I don't want to go again, so I'll wait my turn if someone else has something to add. But I have another thing that I want to add.
I do want to add something. I want to add in, kind of going off of that alchemical drug. I want to see the rise of some very big alchemical producers, whether or not they're bad, but also good. So poisoning would end up being a very big form of getting rid of your enemies.
Okay. Yeah. Big. So should I say big alchemy?
Yeah, big alchemy. I
Big
love that.
alchemy.
Instead of big pharma.
All right. Yeah, I'm on board with that.
Oh
Cool.
boy.
So what about okay, so how do you guys feel about having subsets of dwarves?
Look, this is your
No,
time. You tell us yes or no.
Yeah.
okay, well, no, we can talk about this together.
Well, no,
Since
we'll
this
help
is a
form
group
it.
discussion thing. Sure.
We'll help
So
form it,
I'm
but if you want
so
them,
so what I want to see is I want to see dwarven like subrace superiority. Like if you're from like a different part
Oh yeah,
of the world or
southeast. We
whatever.
gotta just get
Yeah.
rid of the southeast.
Exactly,
so
like,
Try to
oh,
fall
like,
out for offense.
you're from the dark caves, like,
Yeah.
oh, you don't work, you don't work hard
You're
like
from
us
sub. You're
up
from the
in the
sediment
north.
layer.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you know what I mean, like that sort of like cultural I don't know what you call it, like
No
culture
one's.
wars. I
Yeah.
don't know.
The igneous clan is just anyone in the igneous layer of the rocks. Just so much better than those
Yeah,
sedimentarians.
so I'm gonna say
what?
dwarf ethnic tension is what I would say.
Amazing.
That's what I want to see.
Okay, so Arthur.
Yeah. You're rubbing your chin and looking at me. I thought we were each doing three things, and that's.
I mean, well, let's ask ourselves a question here. Like, do you think our palette is kind of full enough? Do you think we got a good enough idea for the game, or do
You
we
are the one
stuff?
experienced at the system, so I throw it back at you because I'm lazy as hell.
Okay. Um, I think we could go. I think we could all add one more thing.
I will
Well,
go to somebody else because I did not anticipate having to add another thing.
Oh no. Okay. Well, if you guys think we're good, I mean, we can go.
I'm
I think.
good on
I
my
think.
end.
Yeah. Okay.
If you guys want to add something else, don't let me stop you. Don't stop you now. You're having such a good time. You're having a ball.
what to put in? I do want to see an up and coming police force.
Oh, like what are you called? Like the private one? I forget what they're called. Pinkertons?
Yeah,
Mm.
because it's like, they're coming into this democratization and they're thinking, how do we actually enforce these laws? We have to come up with our own privatized
Up and
force.
coming, yeah. Police security force. Cool.
So it's while that's happening, then you have all these old dwarven lords who are fighting against each other, and it's getting in the way of the civilians, and there needs to be something to go against them.
Oh yeah, I'm loving that. That's a great idea. Um, trying to think of something I don't want to see in the game. I think we should put it. We should figure out if we want to add it or not. How do we feel about magic? Do we want magic in the world?
I've been going back and forth on that. I was wondering if maybe we make it stricter than that, like no arcane magic. Because we have gods, and they directly. We have religion, and my idea was that there are actual
Well,
gods.
Well, let's put it this
well,
way.
we have
Let's say
drugs.
magic
Like,
is a taboo.
Yeah.
Let's say arcane magic is a taboo.
Yeah, yeah. I think that especially if you're gonna have no mechanized range weapons, you need to have not a lot of magic because otherwise the magic casters are gonna be like the most powerful thing possible because they can attack from range.
so,
Uh,
well, okay. So hold
maybe
on.
like very limited magic, like kind of like miracle stuff, like heal the wounded,
Okay.
Well, like,
feed the hungry.
No, I'll say no ubiquitous magic,
I was gonna say that
like
it's gonna
commonplace.
be like taboo or like outlawed by the churches and stuff like that. But there are still practitioners of magic, but their powers are sorely limited because there's not a good way for them to research or get the ingredients in which to do things.
What if it's just like
So
there's
I'll say
no
limited
combat
magic.
magic? There's no magic to like hurt other people.
What do you mean by that? So like, what?
So
Can you
you know,
hurt?
like
Can you hurt people with like? What do you mean?
so I mean, like, there's no casting on like fireball spells. Like all of the
Oh,
magic
okay.
is like you're like, oh, I'm gonna like make
Like
something by pulling it out
like
of the
Gandalf,
earth.
like Gandalf shit.
Yeah, like Gandalf shit.
Okay.
Even
Yeah.
more limited than that because Gandalf sets some acorns on fire and then throws them at people.
Well, how about
Okay.
we just say for now that as far as like a no magic, but its only use is limited.
Well, yeah. I actually I wrote it in the yes column for limited magic.
All
Okay,
right,
that's fine.
cool, excellent. We can define
So
that later.
yeah, no problem. But actually, I realize that I have a question for Arthur. When you suggested industrialization, so we're okay with like the mass production of things and that kind of stuff,
Yep.
but just no mechanized weaponry.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
have like
So
we have like massive forges and hammers
yep.
and okay, okay, cool. So you're
Yeah,
okay,
it's
okay.
just not
So we're okay
refined
with
enough to make.
engines and
Uh,
things like that.
I want to
You know
say
what I mean?
Steam. I want to say Steam at this point.
Oh,
Like
it's
Steam,
got to be
Steam and coal
geothermal power, right? You know, just using it's a dwarf fortress. You got to use that lava to do everything.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, like a mix of like lava, and then you'll have so like of the power sources, there's going to be lava. There's probably going to be the advent of a steam engine, but I'm not going to say and coal engines, but we're
Oh,
not going to hit
definitely.
the so for no, say no combustion engines
Oh,
or
okay.
no combustion as a technology.
No, thank you. That's awesome. That's
Because that
that's
removes a bunch of stuff like plastics, right?
Yeah.
cool. So
That
our
oil.
okay, cool. So now that we've been talking about this, my idea for the rise of the holds since the at the end and stuff has definitely shifted from what I kind of thought that period of time was, and now it's more like fantasy Shadowrun, which totally on board with.
Earth Dawn.
Yeah. So great. Is there anything one last time around? Yes or no for anything?
I'm good.
Yep. Cool.
I'm
Chip,
gonna
you good?
I can't think of anything.
Okay. Um, well, that means if anything, if you come up with something later, you can use it because it's not been outlined on the palette. So, or if you have a question of like, hey, can we clarify something in the note palette? Let us know. So the next
I
step.
was going to actually suggest if
Mhm.
it'd be okay to take a quick break. I do need to just turn my dogs out real quick.
Oh yeah, I think
Oh,
Eric.
sure.
So, as part of this, I agreed to like swap streams with Eric sometimes. So his thing is taking hourly breaks for 5 minutes. So
Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
we're right
Sure.
there, right?
Exactly.
Let's do it.
All right.
Awesome.
My
We'll be
chat's
back.
used to holding their pee in for the whole 2 hours. We'll be back shortly, guys.
Okay.